So today we're going to be talking about the role of a business psychologist in organizations. That's kind of reflecting on me and my experience. Steve is going to be asking me some questions, probably to prompt me talking probably far more than I should. And out the back of it, we're going to probably discuss three key topics. So topic number one is going to be don't rely on community hype. Topic number two is don't pretend to be a therapist. And topic number three is be coachable. So that's the topic we're going to talk about today, the role of a business psychologist. If you want to find out more, stick around, watch the video, and hopefully we're going to be having a lot of fun with it.
Welcome back, everybody. My name's Steve Trapps.
And I'm Andy Hiles.
Andy, what are we talking about today?
So a topic that's kind of been building for the last couple of years, certainly for me. I'm in, year two of it? We're talking about the role of a business psychologist within an organization. Kind of an unusual job role, and you don't really hear much of it. So hopefully we're going to kind of explore that a little bit today.
Yeah. So what attracted you to the course? What is it doing? Why business psychology?
That's a bloody good question. So I think over the last, let's say, actually it's probably longer, right? If I look back, it's probably 6+ years, really where this has been going. Of being really interested in understanding how people function. It's kind of like there's no other way of really explaining that better, that you can look within an organization and probably spot patterns and try and understand how organizations function. But in terms of, where we've come from in the, from a software delivery point of view, those patterns can be kind of not well constructed, because I know I'll get a load of comments going, they're complex and you can't really, but you can assimilate them. You can go and understand them. You can map them, but human behavior is far harder to go and map. We can't put a kind of a flow diagram around how, human behavior functions, because it's, not typical. So I've been really interested in motivating teams, what really kind of drives teams to be good teams, and how teams kind of break into dysfunction. And that kind of started me on this little journey of, okay, maybe I need to go and do a little bit more about this. So, when I did coaching, kind of trying to answer this question of everyone else seemed to go and do a coaching qualification. So I thought, hey, I'll go and do a coaching qualification. Really didn't get on with it. I didn't get the answers that I was looking for, right? So, and some of the questions I had is, okay, so we have people within organizations, leaders, and you look within the Agile sphere, you have Scrum Masters, particularly Agile coaches, these people in facilitative function, and they are running around organizations trying to solve human problems like stress, burnout, overwork, dysfunctional leadership, and all of these kind of highly detrimental, personal motivating behaviors that emerge as part of being a team within an organization. And you've got all these people who may or may not have a background in psychology, may or may not understand the kind of the boundaries at which the advice, certainly when it comes to facilitation and workshops, you're putting people in potentially stressful situations or making stressful situations worse. Certainly sitting down into how do you deal with conflict? That is incredibly emotive problem to go and solve between either two people or a team. Yet, from the Agile world, we seem to have just said, get the Scrum Master to do it. You have, for me, this kind of unmetered gap within an organization, certainly within Agile spheres, where HR isn't a psychological function. Yeah. Facilitation isn't a psychological function. Managers and leaders are kind of trusted to go and build those relationships and deal with it. But that gap still exists. Who is actually looking at the well-being of the organization in many, many different spheres, leadership and change, learning and development, well-being, decision-making, team functions, and all of these psychological concepts are what drives teams. So this is kind of where I'm coming from, which is people say, go do coaching, but it doesn't answer that gap. It really doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, quite clearly. Yeah. So, is there anything that you've surprised yourself with on the course? Something that's, jumped out and made you think differently?
All of it. I think, so there are some key things, right? So I firstly did the coaching qualification, and I thought, okay, it doesn't answer that boundary between when I'm coaching somebody, what I hear, am I giving, and I'm asking a question back, is that going to make this situation psychologically worse for this person, right? Am I doing therapy or am I doing coaching? It didn't answer that. So I thought, okay, I'll go and learn a bit more. So I did a postgrad in psychology in the workplace. It's kind of like the lead into business psychology. And then we covered, again, all sorts of stuff. That had a huge focus on how teams manage risk. A huge focus on physical safety systems, so aircraft and ferries, and kind of the psychological functions of decision making and how those things happen. You know, we can look in the news quite recently. You had the Toronto plane crash, I think, which I haven't read too much into, but there was one recently as well, and it focused on kind of the decision-making systems within those complex worlds. Now, we talk about Agile being this kind of complex thing, but actually, to what degree, and this is quite an interesting point, to what degree does the work we work within become risky, right? At what point? And, you know, you could say, well, if you're in a banking, it's risky for the customer if you screw up, right? If you're working in defense, it's kind of totally risky all the time, potentially, right? So, but I think we forget that risk. We're not pressing buttons and driving aircraft. You know, there are some things. So there are some really interesting topics in there around how people function within those kind of environments and decision making. And certainly, what's the one you always talk about, which is the context switching. Right? And the bottom line with all of it that was really interesting in that particular portion was the empirical evidence side. And this is kind of going into kind of lesson number one. I mean, you know, the lesson, but lesson number one, which is relying on opinion, relying upon what you've seen, and it's funky and it's cool and it's emerging within the Agile sphere and all these tools and things, and everyone goes, oh, here's a concept, let's go and look at that, and all that kind of stuff. We're not weirdly looking at empirical evidence enough. And the whole idea around business psychology and being a business psychologist is looking at evidence from different perspectives. So there's the evidence you can see, there's the evidence you can talk to people about and learn about. But there's also the scientific research evidence. So what are these peer-reviewed journals? And they are, yes, boring. Not all of them. Some of them are quite nice. You know, some of them are actually easy to read. Some of them are bloody horrendous, and it is clear they do nothing more than academic work and create really, really long words to sound intelligent, right? There is that. But there are some really interesting different perspectives on and research going on out there into some of the functions, some of the problems that we see as people within the Agile software delivery world and getting products out the door, you know, in terms of how people function. So the kind of going back to that, you know, one of the first lessons was that kind of not relying upon community hype, you know, and you know, like you've been around a little while,
yep.
Right? But we've seen these concepts emerge, right? And I'm not saying all brand new things have to have kind of like pure empirical evidence and peer-reviewed journal behind them. But there needs to be some empirical evidence there. There needs to be some critical thinking that this new facilitation technique, this new thing that we're creating, holds a deeper purpose than just a new facilitation workshop-y training thing.
There's got to be value in it.
Well, I think value, but value from a different perspective, right? Okay. So we're looking at deeply into solving not just kind of, you know, how do we go and create a product, but how do the people within that space go and create that product?
Okay.
And I think the value is both, and we see this in our training sessions. What do we call them? I don't know, training things. but it's courses. That's the word. But I think we could run any kind of exercise to get a point across. But we know empirically which ones work and which ones don't. We know empirically when we say certain things, people learn, or when we do certain things, people learn. And there's trade from the back of the room. There's all sorts of kind of, again, it's a really good one. I've got books up here. It's kind of empirical research that have been done around learning, you know, how people learn. And I think we do, certainly with the Agile space, Again, my assumption is we do a really poor job of looking at empirical evidence to help our clients, our teams work slightly better. So sorry, go for it.
I was going to say, which is ironic, seeing as how that is what we should be doing if we're working in Agile, and how you use it. Help me understand where you're coming from. Have you got any evidence to back that up? And all those kinds of brilliant conversations. But yet we don't follow through.
It's incredibly ironic. We are built on empiricism, yet we don't practice it. It's kind of a strong thing to say, but I think realistically it's true. That kind of, leading into using more empirical driven evidence to, as a practitioner, to go and understand what I'm observing. I'm seeing, some not good behaviors in the team. I'm seeing maybe potentially stressed people. What can I do? Am I equipped to go and do this? And this is probably lesson number 2, which is that kind of don't pretend to be a therapist. Yeah. Again, all too often we are encouraging Scrum Masters and coaches to go and solve all these people problems. And again, this is kind of how I've ended up in this space, because I was like, we're asking people to be therapists. We're asking people to be personal relationship managers, right? And we even some of the courseware that is put out there has, 5 dysfunctions of a team, or what's the kind of, I'm thinking of the volcano one, right? Which is like the conflict. Dealing with conflict, right? Yeah. Is a 5-minute segment in a course for 2 out of 2 days enough to go and help people understand how to deal with conflict?
Yeah, I think no.
Right. So it's
complicated.
Yeah, absolutely. And understanding conflict. I haven't done any research in it. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you what the answer is to that. But I think if somebody said to me, Andy, as a business psychologist, what would your approach to be to conflict? I have to go, okay, look, you're going to have to give me a little bit of time. I need to go and read about, what's the evidence we've got to better conflict management processes, not just taking one slide and going, oh, well, that must be the only way to do it, and then finding out it really doesn't work.
Yeah. I've gone through the coaching realms as well, and there is a line in the coaching education, and they do say that coaching can be therapeutic, but it's not therapy. And when you get to that stage where you realize that the person you're talking to requires therapy, or you believe they need therapy, that is when you as a coach say, hey, this is outside of my experience, my expertise. I can help find somebody that could give you therapy, work with you. But often, like coming back to what you're saying, we're trying to fix problems. We don't have those skills, and we shouldn't really play in those areas, because, we can do more damage than good by doing that.
I did that talk in Netherlands in November around that kind of fine line between being a coach and a therapist, and I called it the mucky middle, right? I had these 2 circles which were kind of overlapping, and it was kind of like right in the middle is this messy middle where, as a coach, somebody's coming to you. Are they just wanting to offload, right? Which is kind of borderline therapy, or are they looking for some answers within themselves to go and improve? Right. And so, yeah, it's a really interesting, again, kind of, going back to why I'm doing the masters, why I'm here. I don't know. I was trying to say some other words and just repeating the same. But anyway, that's why. The other kind of very, very, selfish nuance bit, which is the research I'm doing at the moment, which is around the neurodiversity or neurodivergence, should I say, side of things within organizations. And there's a huge gap there at the moment. I mean, it's emerging. There's lots of people kind of focusing on it. Some great organizations out there and the empirical evidence out there, but there are still gaps in those spaces. And also there's a lot of kind of problematic issues that go on with that. So the most probably overt yet covert is whether people within organizations reveal they are neurodivergent, right? Stigma, bias, right? How are people going to be treated? How differently are people within a team going to treat them if they suddenly reveal they have a diagnosis? And then there's the masking, then there's the fear and the complexity and the worry for people and the anxiety of revealing that diagnosis. And so So this kind of whole realm of business psychology, and that's kind of why I've become really interested, because I'm looking to help support neurodivergent people going through the diagnosis stages myself with a son as well. I want to help people potentially like me within workplaces either have a space where they can talk about it without fear of stigma, or be comfortable enough to talk about it, within a team context, and it be accepted.
So would that be providing strategies, or would that just be an ear to listen to, or a shoulder to support them, or what would that be?
Well, so, and this is the difference, right? So as a business psychologist, I'm not a therapist, right? So I couldn't be the shoulder, right? But I could help set up communities. I could drive communities. I could create training and workshops and awareness. Absolutely. And all of that, all of those really good business functions that may not exist within organizations yet. Lots of organizations have talked to do have neurodivergent communities already set up, and that's and it's brilliant. So there are pockets and things going on there, but I still think there is support that could be given to organizations, certainly in the awareness part of things, certainly in that what biases, what stigma do people hold around it. How do you, what support is there for within organizations for people who are neurodivergent?
So why would an organization want to consider creating this space for their employees and colleagues, and why would they want to do it?
Why not, right? So there's some really incredible research out there at the moment around companies actively hiring, seeing the value in the neurodivergent community because of the slightly different strategy and the thinking that goes into problem solving. The final thing I think want to cover is be coachable, right? And I think stress can put people into a space where you feel defensive, you feel you don't have an ability to seek help. Certainly when you're looking at conflict within an organization, if you find yourself in a conflict, you can actually feel very kind of alone and, no help and all those kind of things. So, I think the final bit of advice, final tip for people is to be coachable, but also seek that evidence. Go and find out more. If you're spotting patterns, go and find out more. Right? Go and find out more about what business psychology can do, and actually, better if hire a business psychologist to come in and help your organization understand some of these challenges.
And you've said be coachable. What does be coachable mean to you?
So I think be coachable to me is probably humble is the closest word, right? Is opening up enough to feel that you need improving, right? Not sitting so arrogantly, maybe so confidently in a space that you are creating all these things, you're solving all these problems, and that's a good, and I would love confident people, but also you're humble enough to recognize the kind of things you're trying to do, your facilitation, the workshops you're building, the training courses, those conversations you're having, that they're not always going to be 100% good. Right? And there's a humble recognition of, I'm kind of trying my best, but actually I need that extra little bit of support, right? And I need to understand, okay, so if I'm struggling here, are there other people that can support me with this? Can I get a coach? Can I be coachable? That's my understanding. Does that kind of fit yours?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's because it's the fact that actually be aware, be self-aware around where you are, and actually, like you say, be humble, ask for help, or be open to conversations. You're not, no man is an island, no person is an island. And we often interact with people that have opinions of us, and we want to become the best that we can be. So yeah, so it's being open to that conversation of, hey, I've noticed this, what's going on, kind of thing. So thank you, Andy. Thanks for sharing. Hopefully everybody's enjoyed listening to you. And please, if you have, please comment down below, subscribe down below, and let's have some conversations around what Andy's been talking about. So it'd be great to hear from you. from me. Thank you. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Cheers.